Overwatch 2 as well.
It's not good.
It seems like everyone and their mama has some complaint with the game, and for good reason. There are a multitude of examples that showcase just how lazy and greedy Blizzard has become, from locking characters behind paid progression to not even releasing the promised co-op campaign at launch. To be honest, it seems like even Blizzard themselves just realized how little they've done for the game. So with all this backlash on one of the most popular hero shooters of the last decade, there has to be some other game in the same genre that would also become more prevalent, right? Well, yeah, there was one game that tried to compete with Overwatch, and it's called Gundam Evolution. This was released 1.5 weeks before Overwatch got its downgrade, and had quite a sizable amount of players at launch. The game is derived from the Gundam franchise and features a large cast of their suits. The style is another addition to the hero shooter genre, where each character has specific abilities and weapons at their disposal. And honestly, this game is one of the best additions to the hero shooter genre. In fact, I'll say it, at its core, Gundam Evolution is outright better than Overwatch 1.5. But after a few weeks, its player numbers have decreased drastically. What started at 55,000 players, averaged out at 10,000 players, and now has fallen to less than 2,000 players. Now, you can never judge the quality of a game by just its player count, but there had to be some reason for such a sharp decline within the span of 2 months, right? Well, firstly, if you're creating a game that falls within the hero shooter genre, and you release it 1.5 weeks before the most popular hero shooter game of all time gets relaunched, then obviously your player numbers are going to fall off. Point is, the first mistake Gundam made is when it tried to compete with an extremely popular and similar game. Yes, we can all agree that the launch of Overwatch 1 1/3 is shit, but we all know it would always retain a large amount of the fanbase who actually enjoyed Overwatch 1. And in the end, even if the final product is a pile of dog turds on the side of the road, the concept and gameplay of Overwatch is still fun. So, a game that is essentially an Overwatch clone wouldn't stand a chance against the real deal, unless the clone was flawless and created to perfection, which sadly isn't the case. You see, there are a few key problems with Gundam that really hold itself back from reaching its maximum potential. However, these issues aren't irreversible. If Bandai Namco were really able to fix these problems, then Gundam Evolution would be better than Overwatch 1.2 in every way possible. Part 1. Battle passes make me want to throw up. Gundam EVO falls for the same trap every other game embraces nowadays. The freemium model, which means that the game is free to play, but premium players who are willing to spend some bread on the game will be given extra stuff, and this stuff comes in the form of skins, cosmetics, and other fun little trinkets. So why is this a problem? Well, you see, Bandai decided that it would just be an excellent idea to sell something else in the store: actual playable Gundams. There are 5 units that are locked for new players, but they can be unlocked if you're willing to pay some money for them. If you remember, Overwatch 2 received severe criticism for doing the same exact stunt. Blizzard, the intelligent company that they are, decided to lock heroes out for free-to-play players, but allowed you to claim them instantly, if you're willing to burn $10 of course. The problem with this isn't the price tag, it's that free-to-play players are more limited in their counterplay options if they choose to grant out the battle pass. The purpose of being able to change which hero you play mid-game is so that you can play to the weaknesses of your enemies, and by locking out heroes, you reduce the abilities for players to fight back against their enemies. As a result, you impair a critical gameplay mechanic of hero shooters. And unfortunately, Bandai Namco drives himself off the same exact fucking cliff. So how much does Gundam EVO actually cost? Well, if you want to unlock all 5 units instantly, it's gonna run you $50. Now, before you say anything, you have to remember that this is the price for those who just installed the game and haven't played a single minute. I mean, there has to be some sort of free-to-play method to earn these characters, right? And there is. Kinda. Another way to buy these units is by using capital. There are 2 ways for you to earn capital. The first one is by completing your beginner challenges, which nets you a total of 2100 capital, which is enough to buy you 1 singular premium unit. But oh come on, there has to be some other way of earning capital, right? And there is. It's called the Battle Pass, and this piece of shit is really something else. There are 60 tiers in it, but as a free-to-play gamer, you're only allowed to unlock 20. 20 out of 60. That's literally a third of the entire pass. In the game's defense though, the free reward system allows you to claim 2000 capital, which is enough for another unit. You earn 1000 at tier 18, and the second one at tier 58. 50 out of 60.
For reference, getting to that level would take around 90 to 100 hours of gameplay.
But what if you bought the premium pass?
No! God, please, no! No!
Well, the premium pass costs about $10. If you were dedicated enough to complete the entire premium battle pass, you would get enough premium currency to buy your 3rd unit.
Woo! Yeah, baby!
How exciting. So now, you spent $10 and gotten 3 units out of it. Are you really going to spend those 20 extra bucks for the last 2 units? Are these premium units even worth it? And the answer is yes and no. You see, the 3 best premium units are Gundam Exia, which is a fun close-range unit, Unicorn Gundam, which is the best support unit in the game, and Melee Zaku, who, yeah, I'm not going to talk about him right now because I don't want to have a headache. The other 2 premium units are Mahiru and Masarai, and while you could make an argument for Mahiru's usability in ranked, I think that Masarai is just not worth the $10. So even though there are 5 premium units, only 3 of them are actually worth picking up, those being Melee Zaku, Exia, and Unicorn. And if you feel like throwing extra money at Bandai, you can throw Mahiru and Masarai into that shopping list as well. So if you're willing to put the time into Gundam, then you'll have to pay $10 to unlock the best units in the game. This isn't exactly a steep price tag, but then again, it's the same exact problem that Overwatch -2 has. And besides, if you do decide to grant out the capital for the extra 2 units, then what I'm about to describe will literally break your soul. Part 2. Leavers make me question the purpose of their existence. How long would you say you wait on average to queue into ranked games? Maybe it takes less than a minute. For some games, you might wait 1, 2, or possibly even 4 minutes. Guess how long it takes to queue into a ranked game in Gundam.
1 fucking hour.
Here's a pro tip. Don't try queuing into ranked games before 7 PM on any given day. If you do, you'll never get a game, like ever. But okay, you get into your game, you pick your Gundam, and you wait. And you start playing, you're having a great time, and then... oh, your internet went out for a second. So you'll get put back into the game after a couple seconds, right? If your internet goes out for more than 5 seconds during a game, it'll just straight up crash. You don't even get to stay in the lobby, you just get straight booted out. The only way to rejoin the game is by relaunching the game and then picking your unit again, which wastes an entire minute. But how bad could a minute really be? Oh, going a man down in any game is frustrating, but it's even worse in Gundam because every unit fills some sort of role in the game. So when you lose that role and your team can't fulfill it, the enemy team gains a great advantage over you. So you better be playing with an Ethernet cable, and that motherfucker better be duct taped to your PC. Now, in this case, you didn't intentionally leave the game. The technical jargon for this is called a disconnector, or a DCer. But let's say your team is losing the point really badly, and all of a sudden, someone leaves. That doesn't look like he disconnected. The timing of that is just way too convenient. This is what we call a leaver. See, if you're losing really badly, it is possible to recover. Comebacks happen, but some players refuse to even give their team the chance. So when your Pale Rider quits, instead of, I don't know, switching units, everyone suffers. The game becomes too unbalanced, the smaller team gets suffocated, and literally no one has any fun. The only situation where it's possible to win a 5v6 is during a domination mission, since all 5 of you can play objective. However, even playing for that is very optimistic, and, to be honest, if you go a man down on destruction, you might as well just leave the game. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. When a player leaves, the game gives you this message, which basically says that since that guy hasn't returned yet, you can also leave, and they won't give you a leaver penalty. Your rating will still go down with the loss, but you can just re-queue into another game. So they literally give you more reason to leave a 5v6. And the only thing worse than a 5v6 is a 4v6. Thankfully, if a team goes down by 3 or more players, then the game puts them out their misery and ends the match. But man, being on that smaller team is frustrating. But it's even worse when the opposing team picks Melee Zaku. Part 3. Melee Zaku makes me want to throw myself at a wall. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Well, he's just gonna rant about Melee Zaku for 3 hours. Just get good, you dumbass motherfucker. It's not my fault you're shit at the game.
And we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about a gameplay mechanic in Gundam, and that's the ultimate system. After a certain amount of time in the game, you unlock usage of your ultimate ability, which is a very powerful one that varies depending on whether you play support, damage, or tank. The purpose of an ultimate is to open up a lane or opportunity so that your team can enter the objective, give information such as enemy location, and set up traps to make it easier to defend a point. This is a very popular system in many hero shooters, but the problem with this system in Gundam is that some are way too overpowered. Specifically, I'm talking about the damage ults, or the ultimates that are designed to do damage and kill your enemies. In most other games, ultimates are balanced because of 2 other neutralizing mechanics. Firstly, you need to still have some skill in order to use them. Have you noticed that in Valorant, there is no ultimate that just straight up gives you a kill? There are damage ultimates in the game, however, such as Jet's knives or Chamber's Tour de Force, but they don't lock onto people's heads by themselves. These ultimates are powerful only in the hands of the most gifted players, the ones with ungodly aim and reaction. But you may say that Gundam and Valorant are 2 completely different games, right? Okay, let's look at Overwatch instead, which brings me to my second point. Even though it is an ultimate ability, you still have to use it strategically. Most of the damage ults in Overwatch are balanced in the sense that they leave some part of you vulnerable. McCree, who I refuse to call Cassidy, and Junker Queen are both immobile before they perform their ults, which allows enemies to react in a timely manner. These ults can also be cancelled with any well-timed stun, thus requiring players to use their ults with caution.
Genji's Dragon Blade is effectively lethal at close range,
But he doesn't transform into Super Chad, Big Dick, Alpha Male Genji with twice as much health and armor. He's still just Genji. Instead of face tanking bullets, you have to rely on their superior movement options to get close and make the ultimate effective. Some ultimates in Gundam will just give you kills without any brain power involved. There are some damage ults that are truly balanced, like Pale Rider's Hades or Exia's Transarm, which require you to, aim your weapons. But it gets out of hand when Gundam throws a bomb that goes through walls, has a relatively large blast radius, and if you're in that blast radius, you're dead. But you can destroy a Super Napalm, so it isn't that bad. On the other hand, if Turn A ults on you, there's literally no escape. Honorable mentions also go out to Guntank's Core Fighter and Sabzai's Funnels. Whereas other games give you the keys to using your ultimates well, Gundam Evolution gives you the keys, the BMW for Most Wanted, and then they start that bitch and put it into 6th gear.
but the ults I just mentioned are somewhat balanced because they can actually be destroyed. But Melee Zaku. Can I finally talk about Melee Zaku?
His ultimate literally has him swinging his big ass axe around like he's a fucking Beyblade. Like if you don't take your ass back to Tyson right now, this ultimate will destroy your entire team in seconds. When you combine his ult with his rage meter, he gets extra armor and health, so that can really rub it in. And there's literally almost nothing you can do to counter it. What, are you going to slowly approach him with Turn A as he's spinning? Some of you may compare this to Reaper's ult, which is also a devastating AoE attack, but Reaper's ult only lasts about 3 seconds. Zaku's ult lasts 6 seconds.
It's only my 3rd day out here, I don't know.
Now, you may also be asking, well, does he think that Barbatos is overpowered? Barbatos is a very high risk, high reward Gundam. If you're good with him, you can be extremely effective and outright win games for your team. However, he's dead weight from range, so on more open sections of the map, he can be picked off by a good Pale Rider or Sniper. Barbatos' main strength comes against picking off single units, but he cannot take on your entire team at once. He also has specific sound cues, so if you're listening to the game audio, you can usually pick up when he's coming around. So, if they made one really balanced close range unit, how did they fuck up Zaku so much?
Melee Zaku has a range option that's an ability. His axe isn't even a melee weapon, but actually fires projectiles that can travel a short distance. He can become invulnerable and build rage, which isn't a problem for mobile Gundams. But then, when he ults on you,
The point is, the ultimate system in Gundam feels quite lazy, and seems to be a way for you to get some easy kills without putting any thought to it. Sure, I do think that there are some ults that are really well balanced in the game, but those are completely outclassed by Zaku. So while some ults benefit from strategy and foresight, others feel way overtuned and are too powerful compared to the other abilities in the game.
Part 4. What if I told you that this game is actually good?
Hold on. So even though you dedicated 3 parts of this video to telling me how shit this game is, now you're gonna tell me that this game is fun? Well, yeah. I guess that makes me a hypocrite, right?
Alright, hear me out. The reason why I pointed out what's wrong with the game is because I genuinely want to see the game get better. Even though there are some flaws with Gundam Evolution, I think it's simply harsh to write the game off as an Overwatch clone. The entire flow of battle differs greatly from Underwatch. Even though the games sometimes feel like they might overlap, the gunplay and abilities in the game are quite different. The game holds the philosophy that if everything in the game is broken, then nothing in the game is broken. And to be honest with you, I think it makes the game really entertaining. Every single Gundam can make a significant difference to your team, regardless of if you're playing DPS, support, or tank. This doesn't mean that the game neglects team play. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Going up against broken Gundams with your broken Gundams requires strategizing how to counter their broken abilities with your broken abilities. I think that this game can truly thrive in the hero shooter genre, but only if the developers listen to the community and move to fix a lot of the issues in the game. And I hate to just throw out problems and not try to offer any solutions, so here's some fixes that I think would help the game. Firstly, keep the game free to play, but remove the cost of the premium units. The biggest thing that keeps Gundam from retaining any new players is its monetization system. So since beginner players can't even play ranked until they hit level 20, why not give one of these units for completing the tutorial, and then another unit for every 5 levels they achieve in the game. This would keep new players engaged in the game because they could grind these levels out in casual, where counterplay doesn't matter as much. And when you add more suits to the game, allow the character to be unlocked by a series of challenges, similar to the beginning challenges, but instead of receiving an arbitrary capital reward, you receive something that has actual meaning at face value. But that would cause you to run at a net loss because players aren't buying units anymore, right? Well, here's a novel concept. What if we actually added cool shit to the premium pass? Stat trackers that could be displayed over your head before every game started, allowing you to flex your KDR in the entire lobby. Reactive cameras that aren't just some lines on a Gundam. Customization in premium passes can be done right, but this bauble attached to a keyring isn't the way. Maybe you could pay for deeper customization of your Gundams, like literally modifying the colors or patterns of each limb. Customization should be a highly personalized process, one where you get to decide what the skin looks like, so that you don't always have to slap on a pre-made skin that looks the coolest out of a few options. New weapons for each Gundam that look different, but still have the same stats as the original, and I'm not just talking about skins, but completely new models for the guns. I think it would be amazing if I was fighting a GM that was using an anime body pillow as its shield. But that's just me though. Goofy shit like this makes matches memorable and unique. And two other minor things. Firstly, increase the intentional lever ban penalty, and finally, maybe tune down Melee Zaku's ultimate just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. There's more I could talk about here, like how the game censors literally anything that is close to a curse word, and how sometimes your gun glitches and you can't shoot, but I think you get my point. I think that this game is too good to be hindered by poor monetization and low player counts. This game can definitely be better than Overwatch, but it has a lot of work to do. Thankfully, the developers seem to be somewhat heading in the right direction by adding new balance patches and bug fixes. So, who knows? There's some universe out there where Gundam Evolution takes its rightful place in the hero shooter genre. Or it might just be another project that fades into obscurity. But I mean, what do I know? I'm just some dipshit on the internet.